With the timeline of Star Trek Prodigy being quite confusing and complex, we thought it'd be worth a video dedicated to the timeline of Prodigy. So strap in as we deal with the Vau N'akat time travel and how Prodigy fits in with Picard. Oh, and much more as well. This is going to be interesting because first we have to deal with the USS Protostar. We'll somewhat go down a chronological timeline, but with time travel being involved in this story, we'll jump to relevant times to further explain things. Before we do warp into this video, if you want to keep up to date on the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, make sure to hit that subscribe button on screen now to never miss a video from myself and the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. Okay, go fast. The USS Protostar launched in the 2380s, sometime before the events of the show, and was a mission to basically right the wrongs of the journey of the USS Voyager, returning to the Delta Quadrant and fixing any big issues the Voyager may have caused. Like bad first contacts, awakening an ancient warmongering civilization, you know, the usual things that happen on Star Trek Voyager. However, sometime into their journey, the Protostar would encounter a temporal wormhole anomaly and fall through it, ending up in the Vau N'akat homeworld of Solum some decades after first contact with Solum happened in the year 2436. This first contact would happen between Solum and the Federation, sometime after 2384. The ship sent to initiate first contact looks to be a Prometheus-class starship, and with this class of starship being active into at least the 26th century, with classes of this appearing in the Battle of Procyon 5, that does not really narrow down when first contact takes place too much. However, some comments from lead writer Aaron Walt seem to suggest that one of these ships was sent to rendezvous with the Voyager on its journey home. This would be the ship to make contact with the Vau N'akat, so this suggests first contact between the Federation would happen sooner rather than later in the Star Trek timeline. These ships were dispatched in 2377 and were already on deep space assignments, and it was said it would take 6 or 7 years to rendezvous with Voyager. The Prometheus class is a ship designed for deep space tactical missions, and could be one of these deep space vessels, and when Voyager returned home, could have continued on its previous assignments and maybe made contact with the Vau N'akat. During the exposition within the Vindicator, Ensign Senior, we would learn that first contact would occur, and then decades of infighting between factions on Solum would have caused a civil war and mass planetary destruction. Decades after the civil war, the Protostar would appear in orbit above Solum, after entering a temporal anomaly, and the rest is history, or is it future? After being captured and tampered by the Vau N'akat, who put their last living construct weapon on the ship, the captured crew of Captain Chakotay and Commander Adrak Hu would then send the Protostar back through the temporal wormhole, sending it back into the past and into the Delta Quadrant, with no crew, and no idea when or where it would even end up. Sometime before 2366, the Protostar would appear and end up in the Delta Quadrant near the Beta Quadrant border, in a planetary body known as Tars Lamora. Somehow, the ship would end up in a cave on an asteroid that was covered in chimerium, a mineral which would block sensor readings and transporter signals, therefore making it rather difficult to track down. Shortly after, the Diviner, a member of the Vau N'akat Order sent from the future to locate the Protostar, as it contained their last living construct and a means to destroy the Federation and save their world, would somehow narrow down his search for the Protostar, knowing it was somewhere on Tars Lamora. With his massive Rev-12 starship, he would set up a mining operation on the asteroid, and through mining and materials, would buy slaves from the Kazon slavers, to increase his mining operation and eventually find the Protostar. By the year 2366, after years of searching for the Protostar on Tars Lamora, the Diviner grows weak and frail. He defies his order's laws by cloning a progeny, Gwendala. Gwendala would grow up on Tars Lamora and learn many languages and negotiating skills in order to keep the mining operation of Tars Lamora going while her father chilled in a tank of goo for medical reasons. Gwyn would not be alone, as the Diviner's Dreadnought unit would also assist in the running of the facility, as well as other robotic units called Watchers. Fast forward to around 2381, one of the Vau N'akat sent back in time would arrive in the Delta Quadrant, known as the Vindicator. She would use genetic manipulation technology, seemingly from an independent research colony in the Romulan neutral zone called Noble Isle, to disguise herself as a Trill called Insignia. From that point, she would join Starfleet, probably going through the academy, which would last 3 years, and graduating with the rank of Ensign. She would find herself with one other person in Starfleet interested in tracking down the Protostar, Vice Admiral Catherine Janeway, therefore would be assigned to a mission in locating a missing ship aboard the USS Dauntless. Fast forward to 2383, the events of the Star Trek Prodigy series would start. Gwyn would begin to interrogate Dal on Tars Lamora, Zero would get in contact with Dahl, and Dahl, Zero, Roktok, and Jangon Pog, and a captive Gwyn would locate the Protostar and escape the mining colony on Tars Lamora with it.
Need my ship!
After escaping with the Protostar, our motley crew would go on numerous adventures making first contact with species like the Cimmerians, getting stuck in temporal oscillating anomalies, and even getting temporarily stuck on a planet that would use your nightmares as dreams against you. Ouch. On this planet, called Murder Planet, the Diviner would locate our crew and the Protostar, and Gwyn would somewhat learn the truth of her father, and what he's willing to do to get the Protostar, even giving up his own daughter to see through the master plan. We would then reach 2384, with the Diviner again catching up to our crew and actually capturing the Protostar, and leaving all its crew, except Gwyn, on Tars Lamora. Gwyn would be told the truth by the Diviner's mission, and the destruction of Solum, which is indirectly caused by the Federation's first contact with the planet. The crew of the Protostar would inspire a revolution on Tars Lamora with its slave labour, by sharing the gift of a universal translator so that miners could finally understand each other. The Diviner would be driven mad by the visual contact with a Medusan, Zero, and be left stranded on Tars Lamora, while the Protostar and its crew escaped, heading towards the Federation to make first contact with them. The prisoners of Tars Lamora would also steal the Rev 12, the ship of the Diviner, leaving him completely stranded on the planetoid. At this point, Dreadnought was also destroyed. In the year of 2384, Starfleet would send a ship to investigate the missing USS Protostar, with a mission headed up by the USS Dauntless, captained by Vice Admiral Catherine Janeway, and as I said previously, she would be accompanied by the Vau N'akat in disguise, Ensign Senior. The Dauntless, a new ship designed by B'Elanna Torres, utilized data taken from a fake Starfleet ship the USS Voyager encountered and found in the Delta Quadrant under the same name, which was the Dauntless. The Dauntless was equipped with a quantum slipstream drive, which allowed it to travel at extremely fast speeds, and would start its mission on Tars Lamora. The crew of the Dauntless would find a warp signature of a Protostar and be led to Tars Lamora, where they would even find the Diviner locked in stasis. The Dauntless would then be on the hunt for the Protostar, tracking it to a relay station on the edge of Federation space, which the Protostar accidentally destroyed with a Vau N'akat living construct weapon. A space depot close to the Romulan neutral zone was where our Protostar crew would get in trouble with Starfleet and the Xindi, and headed straight into the neutral zone where the Dauntless was stopped by the Romulan Dejadeck starships. Even with these Romulan warbirds blocking the way, the Dauntless could not enter the neutral zone to pursue the Protostar. This was due to treaties with the Romulan Star Empire. And of course, the Romulan relocation effort headed up by Admiral Jean-Luc Picard, which was heading up in the face of the incoming Romulan supernova. Also, Admiral Edward Jellicoe kind of blocked Janeway from going there. Shame. The Protostar would head to the planet of Noble Isle, where Dahl would learn that he is a product of genetic scientists who worked under Arak Soong, the 22nd century Soong interest in eugenics before his family line switched to cybernetics. He would use these latent genetic abilities from recessive genes and some genetic technology to fend off a group of Romulan Tal Shiar agents who were after a Protostar and a weapon on board the ship. Interestingly enough, the weapon on board this ship is capable of corrupting and turning Federation systems against itself. So if this Tal Shiar group was able to get some data of this weapon, they might have been able to reverse engineer similar weapons for themselves. Turning Federation systems against itself sounds an awful lot like the attack on Mars, where the Zat-Vash, a rogue group within the Romulan Tal Shiar, hacked non-sentient android workers on Utopia Planitia and the planet's defense system, as well basically to destroy the planet, killing a fleet of relocation ships and igniting a Martian atmosphere, putting an end to the Romulan relocation mission in 2385, also significantly damaging Starfleet's ability to produce starships. The living construct, acting through a corrupted hologram Jamie, would send the Protostar hurtling into the heart of Federation territory, into the Gamma Serpentis system, where Starfleet Armada would intercept it, consisting of Akira, Centaur, Sovereign and Defiant class starships, including the USS Akira, USS Thunderchild, USS Centaur and USS Sovereign, oh, and we can't forget the USS Enterprise E. The Protostar would maneuver nimbly around the fire from its armada, but would eventually get overwhelmed, which would allow the Vau N'akat in disguise to board the Protostar, deal with its crew, and activate the living construct weapon to turn the Federation fleet against itself. The Diviner would ultimately die, trying to defend his daughter Gwyndala, and the Vindicator, along with her Dreadnought unit, would escape, believing they have won the battle. However, with assistance from nearby Federation allies, including Klingon, Trill, Gorn, Vulcan, and other vessels, they would come to protect the infected Federation ships, shielding them with their own ships and beaming Starfleet officers on board their ships to safety. The USS Protostar, piloted by its emergency training hologram Janeway, would set a course away from the battle, let its crew go in a shuttle and activate its protodrive while deactivating the safeties on the Protostar's Protostar, that's a mouthful, causing it to go supernova, spreading the damage across a large area of space, therefore saving the crew, ship, and fleet. While doing this, Janeway would somehow use the detonation of a Protostar to recreate a temporal anomaly that first sent the Protostar into the alternate future of 2436. Possibly due to the theory explained by Ensign Harry Kim of the USS Voyager.
Want to know what I think?
No.
But a Type 6 Protostar could generate a wormhole. A lovely callback to Star Trek Voyager there. The crew of the Protostar would be stuck in a shuttle for a month before being rescued and brought to Starfleet headquarters, where they face trial for their crimes of using a Starfleet ship and impersonating the crew. But with Vice Admiral Janeway on the defense, they will be permitted to be warrant officers in training under Janeway's wing. All except Gwendala, who will take up the mantle of the Unifier and go on a mission with Starfleet to seek out Solum and make first contact and ensure it happened right and not lead to Solum's civil war. Hopefully this rundown of a timeline of Star Trek Prodigy helps some of you place where all these events happened, and hopefully it won't get any more complicated within timelines as we might have to redo this entire video. I look forward to seeing you next time, maybe next year. If you want to keep up to date on the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from a team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends. Goodbye.